Oh, yeah. Test. Ooh, there we go. It's right at noon right now. I'm going to ask Hannah to come up here and introduce me, just because I like awkward situations, so. She ran away. We'll wait for her then. Before we get started, I just want to get a show of hands. I did this earlier already, and then we had a massive turnout. So how many of you guys are actually on LinkedIn right now? So a good percentage, good. And so to be honest, given the fact that the majority of our students here today are not on LinkedIn, I will kind of give an overview, a very basic overview, okay? And then we'll actually get into techniques that I like to use to grow my own profile and stuff like that. Hannah, did you want to come introduce me real quick? Thank you. Yeah.
Hello, I'm Hannah Johnson. I'm the Director of the Center for Career Development. And it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Bruce Lund. He's going to talk to you today about your professional personal brand. So let's welcome Dr. Lund.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. So again, we're here to talk today about personal branding, and most specifically, what is LinkedIn and how does that relate to your personal brand? Okay? And so as we get going through this, I'm very, I enjoy interaction between myself and you guys. So I don't want to be up here controlling the conversation. Okay? And that's exactly what this is. This is a conversation between me and all of you. And so my next question is, how many of you actually heard of personal branding before? A mixed. This is usually how it is. Like I said, it's usually about 25% all the okay? And so today, really what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what is a personal brand. Why is it important to you as college students? Why is it more important than ever before for you as college students to have a personal brand? Okay? Before I get going, I want to give a little bit of my background. What I've found throughout my career as a college student is you guys are all asking, so what? So why should I listen to this guy, right? Let's be honest. And I remember doing the same thing in your shoes. So my background really is, I'll give you the quick synopsis. At the age of 24, I moved to Nashville. And I moved to Nashville to start my journey as a PhD student. And what really happened is I got to Nashville and I took the GRE and I moved from Michigan to Nashville. And they said, hey, this position is no longer open. Right? So could you guys imagine moving 4 states? You get there, you have your whole car packed, and the guy says, oh yeah, by the way, you don't have a job. Right? So I had that oh shit moment. Okay? And so you guys throughout your careers are going to have those defining moments, those oh crap moments, sorry, pardon my French. And you're going to have those moments in your careers, and you're going to need to make a sort of a gut level decision on what you're going to do. The reality is I could have went back home to Michigan, just gotten by, did the things that I was doing. But at that point I was committed. I was pot committed, for you poker players, to Nashville. And so what happened from there is I started working temp jobs. I was sleeping on a buddy's couch for literally 2 months. I was just making minimum wage jobs. Okay, I was eating peanut butter jelly sandwiches. And so here I was with a $200,000 education. I had a really good job as a journalist, one of the youngest journalists for the second largest newspaper in Michigan, and I gave all that up to go to Nashville. And you guys are like, man, what's this guy thinking, right? He got there and didn't even have a job. So what I really did was, like I said, I could have went back, and I didn't. And so I started parlaying all my different networks in Nashville. And by all those different networks, how many did I have? One person, right? I was sleeping on his couch. So I really didn't have any networks. And so let this be a lesson to you guys. You know, you can go anywhere and make the big time, okay? You don't have to own your own backyard. So many students are afraid to do what? Get up and leave. And so whether you're from Charleston or wherever you're from, get out and explore, okay? That's one of the biggest things I can give to you is unique experiences equal unique perspectives, right? And so for those of you that are willing to go out and move and put yourself out there and get involved in different things and experiences, that's what's going to give you unique perspectives, okay? So fast forward, I actually ended up, through my networks in Nashville, 3 months later I got a job with the Nashville Sounds, which is a AAA affiliate of the Milwaukee Brewers. And I used my public relations background, communications background to start working in community relations. 6 months later, I actually proved myself to the program director at Middle Tennessee State University. And I was the first ever student they hired in or accepted in as a doctoral student without having a master's. So essentially what they were doing is saying, you know, we think you're qualified enough to start your PhD journey. And so again, what was the easy way for me to do, or the easy thing for me to do, is to go back to Michigan, right? And so it was a crazy 6 months really to get from point A to point B. For how many of you guys actually heard Coach Michael Burt speak yesterday? That's it? Or how many of you guys is not raising your hands? Not many, okay. Coach Burt came and spoke yesterday about his journey and finding his voice early in life. And so really what happened was Michael Burt Enterprises was founded in 2009, which is right when I got to Nashville. And I started serving as his public relations specialist. So in addition to being a graduate teaching assistant at Middle Tennessee State, I also volunteer my time as a public relations specialist for him. And today he's grown that business from $7,500 into $750,000. Okay? And so when we started, it was him, and then I was just kind of, I'd run around, I'd set up books for him, I'd take pictures for him. And so if you guys heard him yesterday, every day in your current role is an interview for your next role. And so essentially that was a message he ingrained into me. Okay? And so I started setting goals for myself. And one thing that you guys need to take away is we become the sum total of the 5 people we hang around the most. And so I started hanging around big-time thinkers, right? Here a guy was, he was a retired basketball coach who won a championship, quit that, became an entrepreneur. While I was a PhD student, I was also going to boardroom meetings with multi-millionaire and billionaire people. And so again, you start to hang around people who are what? Big thinkers. You think that's inspirational for a young person to see? Absolutely, right? So again, you become the sum total of the 5 people you hang around the most. So get around big thinkers, okay? Start fishing in different ponds. So really what I did is I started setting goals for my own self. So by the age of 27, I founded my company, Expert Concepts, and what I really do is I try to help young professionals stand out in the most competitive, saturated markets ever before, okay? And so I have a systematic process, 3-step process, discover, develop, decide to live the expert in you. And so we'll kind of walk through that process today a little bit. By the age of 28, I've written a book. By the age of 29, I graduated with a PhD. By the age of 30, I was a program director in the Texas A&M University system. And so the only reason I tell you all this is not to brag about myself, it's to talk about the acceleration of growth I had between the age of 24 and 29. So these 5 years, really, I just had a tremendous amount of growth going on. And so again, I'm going to talk about those systems and the importance of those as a brand. Because really what all I really started doing is I paid more attention about my personal brand and how important that was to my career. Okay? So the topics we're going to cover is what is a personal brand? And more importantly for you guys is why is a personal brand important today? And then we're going to get into why should we develop LinkedIn profiles and really the three-step process that I use. And really this three-step process is you can use it for anything. Okay? Discover. So how many of you guys are business majors out here? So when you start talking about marketing and branding, really you first have what? A product, right? So that's the discovery phase. You have a product, then you start to develop things around that product, you start to market that product, and then the third part is you decide to take that product out and launch it and take it to the real world, and you sell it every day, right? So essentially that's what we're doing with you and your brands, okay? So first of all, what is a brand? So obviously you know those are what? The first one, the first picture. They are the golden arches, correct? You guys have all heard of that? What are some things you think about when you see that brand, that logo? Shout them out. What? French fries, okay? Ronald McDonald. Big Mac. Apparently this is an audience participation of 1 today. That's good. Dollar Menu. Dollar Menu Nair. I can't even say it, right? Say that 5 times fast, I dare you. It's not going to work out well for you. Okay. So those are all the things you think about with McDonald's. What do you think about with the second one here? Shoes. What else? Just Do It. Swoosh. Michael Jordan. You think of Oregon? Okay. Good. So the third and final one. Steve Jobs. Oh, overpriced? Okay, that's good though. That's part of a brand, right? Simple, innovative. Good. So those are all things. Now let's go through and let's go through and list the ones that I had. Golden Arches, Dollar Menu, Big Mac, fast food, Ronald McDonald. Nike, Just Do It, Swoosh, Jumpman, Athletic Clothing, Michael Jordan. So again, these are all things that you guys named too, right? Apple, innovation, iPad, iPod, iPhone, Steve Jobs. So in the red I have what highlighted? People, correct? So Ronald McDonald, he does have a personal brand, correct? When I say Ronald McDonald, you guys immediately think of what? Clown, all those kind of things. When I say Michael Jordan, you guys immediately think of what? Brand. You think of Nike, the Jumpman logo, right? Don't do this in a presentation, by the way, if you guys are going to do that. And then Steve Jobs, right? Innovation, okay? So the whole point is, just like all these companies have brands, you as an individual has a brand. And so the question becomes, what do you want to be known for? When somebody says your name, what do you immediately want them to think about, correct? And that's your brand. And so as college students, when you're going out and you're applying for jobs, would it be beneficial for somebody to think of you as a hard worker, right? All the generic terms, they show up on time, consistent, all those things, correct? But really what you're trying to do is figure out what is the most value that you can be known for, okay? And so if you guys heard Michael Bird talk yesterday, you got to be able to sell something, right? Either sell yourself or sell a product. The second part is you need to have unique value to offer the world. You need to be an immediate asset. And then you need to be able to fix or solve something. So those are all good things to be known for as a personal brand, correct? What do we know right now? Is they can no longer hire nice-to-have young professionals. They're only in search of must-haves, okay? And so there's really some career epidemic numbers going on right now. So again, I think it's important to talk about why this is important to you as young professionals. We have more generations than ever before that are competing for jobs. What do I mean by that? More generations. What are you guys known as? What generation are we? Maybe not Carol, but we. Just joking, Carol. Millennials, correct? What are millennials? Have you guys ever heard this expression? Have you guys heard of millennials? So we're 18 to 32-year-olds, okay? We're kind of taking over the workplace. So that's important for you to understand. We all know the different stereotypes that go on with millennials. What are the different stereotypes that we know about millennials, or that people are saying about us? We're entitled. What's that? Lazy? I heard something, but not really. We don't go outside? Okay. Too many video games? What are some other stereotypes? You move back home. So there's all these different stereotypes. Are these positive stereotypes? No. Okay. And so the point is we need to try to kind of break these stereotypes. And so again, we're competing against all these other generations, and as you come out and you're competing against these other generations, you're knowing and entitled and all those things. Is that more difficult for you then to stand out from the other generations? Absolutely. Okay. We have more college graduates than ever. That's self-explanatory. Okay. More people are going to college, getting degrees. Graduate and they compete for jobs. We have the highest unemployment rates of all time and underemployment rates. So 50% of college graduates in the last couple of years are either unemployed or underemployed. Does everyone know what I mean when I say underemployed? You get a college degree and then you still end up working at Walmart, something like that, okay? And so you really didn't go to college to become a grocer, correct? Good. Let's hope not. And then the other part is we have the highest debts of all time. So again, you can kind of see how this whole, it's sort of a bad storm that's going on. It's a career epidemic. And the other trends are, we're in the free agent nation. In the free agent nation, for you guys, this is why it's important, is there's more independent contractors now than ever before. And what do I mean by that? It means that companies are hiring people to come in individually versus hiring them full-time. So again, if other people are willing to do work that you could be doing, but do it part-time and then do more of that for different companies, that makes it very difficult for you to get jobs. Because what do they have that you don't have? The experience part of it, right? And so really what I'm trying to get you to start thinking about is how do I get that experience? How do I build and grow my personal brand? Okay? So in essence, what I'm trying to get you guys to think about is how do you grow a brand within a brand? So you're all students here at University of Charleston, is that correct? And so at the end of the day, you're all students, and you're competing against who? Other students at University of Charleston, and students all across the United States. So how do you build a brand within a brand at the University of Charleston? This is my audience participation part. How do you build a brand within a brand? How do you market yourself here at University of Charleston to get opportunities? How do you stand out, though? Through your grades, through your relationships with your mentors, relationship with professors, showing up on time, staying late, getting involved in volunteer opportunities. If you consistently did that every semester when you started as a freshman, do you think 3 or 4 years from now that you'd be better marketed than other students your age? Absolutely, right? Absolutely. So again, I'm trying to get you guys to think about these concepts, all right? So the question becomes for you is, what is your personal brand? What is your personal brand? And this really comes from your unique past, your unique experiences, your unique mentors. I didn't understand any of this, again, until I became the age of 25 and I started working with Coach Burt and I started thinking about all these things. We all have a different past, correct? No two people in here have the same exact past. And so the question is, how do you tell your story? How do you articulate your story that differentiates from all the other people in here? All right? A lot of times, you know what happens? I ask our students to do this in class. The who you are, what you do, and why you matter. Is people get very embarrassed when you have to come in front of a room and just talk about yourself. Have you guys ever had to do that? Is it nerve-wracking a little bit? When you have to go up here and tell your story? Because basically what you're doing, you're bragging on yourself, right? And so what are we told throughout our entire lives? Self-promotion is evil. The reality is today, self-promotion is necessary. Okay? Now I'm not telling you guys to go out there and talk about how great you are to every person that walks through a room. But you should be able to articulate your unique story to an audience. Okay? Or tell your unique story to who? Potential employers. It's very important that you understand how to do this. If you guys came to the message on Monday, they talked about the elevator pitch a little bit, right? Sort of a 20 to 30 second go-to statement. Every young professional needs to have that 20 to 30 second go-to statement because you never know who you're going to run into. You need to deliver that statement too. Okay? In essence, what I'm trying to help you guys do is find, package, and sell your special. How many classes have you had that help you find your special? Have any of you guys had a class like that? Hopefully my students can say yeah, because we hopefully try to help you guys find and package and sell your special. Okay? The reality is, and throughout the schooling system, I don't think we do nearly enough of this. And I say schooling instead of education because there's a big difference between schooling and an education. Schooling is the process. You guys can come to the University of Charleston, sit in class, do the minimum amount of work, get a C in there, and not be any better than you were when you came here. Would you guys agree with that? Do minimal work? What's an education then? When you take interest on your own and you go out and you start to research things on your own, you read things on your own because you're interested in doing those. That's an education. And there's an expression that I love. It's a formal education will make you a living. A self-education can make you a fortune. And so us as professors, what we would love more than anything is for you guys to take interest without us having to do what? Micromanage you the whole time, tell you that you need to go out and read these things. There's nothing more frustrating than having to drag, pull, punch somebody to come through the finish line with you. And you guys show up every day and you're barely prepared. You just rolled out of bed at 7:58 and you're rolling to class at 8:03. And you're like, oh hell, another day in class here today. This is going to be fun. As professors, we do not enjoy that. Trust me. We want people who are what? Internally motivated. Guess what the workplace wants? The same thing, right? The workplace wants internally motivated individuals who don't have to be micromanaged every day. Okay? So again, start thinking about that with your personal brand. Every day in your current role is an interview for your what? Next role. Every day as a student is an interview for what? Your next role, and whatever that role is. All right? So do you see things as obligations or as opportunities? This is the biggest shift in mindset I ever had in my life, is when I would show up at events like these and I would see these things as opportunities rather than obligations. So you guys come here and you're getting credit for first year experience for a lot of you, right? You see this as what then? An obligation, okay? For those of you who come here on your own and you show up and you're taking notes and you're engaged, you see this as what then? An opportunity. You guys see the difference. And so guess who gets hired? People who see things as opportunities rather than obligations. People who get involved in volunteer actions. Those are the people that are continually standing out in the workplace today. Okay? My message is never motivational, to be honest. I give you guys straightforward stuff. It's more informational. And I think my students would agree. I don't come here all rah-rah. You know, you guys are guaranteed to go out and get jobs. That's not the case. I just come here, I give the brutal facts. It's harder than find out. 50% of people are unemployed, underemployed. Close to 70% of students are moving back home with mom and dad after graduation. These are the realities of things that are going on. Because why? They don't see things as opportunities, rather obligations. They see school as something they have to go to versus want to go to. Correct? And so I'm just trying to get you guys to think about this a little bit differently. All right? So the simple three-step process I use: define, develop, decide to live. Everything in your life starts with a dominant focus. Okay? So if you're in college today and you don't have that dominant focus, it's going to be really hard for you to figure out the why, correct? The why you're here. I didn't understand this until I was in grad school, to be honest with you guys. All right? The why is a very difficult part to answer. Many of you come here to be student athletes. I understand that. I was a former student athlete myself. And so my why was to do what? Be a student athlete first. So athlete, student, not student athlete. Okay? Eventually you understand that you should probably become a student. Okay? So ask yourself the why. Get on the why part. And this, like I said, starts to focus on your dominant focus. And really this builds on your emotional intelligence. What is emotional intelligence? Some of you guys have heard of that before. So somebody tell me, what is emotional intelligence? You know what emotional intelligence is? Very good. Your understanding of yourself, your own emotions, right? So a lot of this could be energy. How are you perceived, correct? We only get one first impression, and it takes 21 positive interactions to make up for one bad first impression. So let's say you guys are on that elevator, and you're wearing sweatpants and a hoodie, and some big-time employer was on there, and you didn't have an elevator pitch. That's not a very good first impression, right? Let's say you want to get hired by that company. It would take 21 positive interactions to make up for that one bad first impression. That's not good. So again, your personal brand is always on display. The way you communicate with others, always on display. The way you dress, always on display. I'm so fanatical about this, I will literally, on a Sunday, I'll be watching football, I will make myself throw on a pair of jeans and a polo just to go to the gas station or the grocery store. Because why? I never know who I might run into. Okay? I never know who I might run into. And When I was in college, I was the same way. I would roll in sweatpants and all those kind of things. I get it, okay? But at a certain point, you need to make that shift from student to young professional, from young professional to a person of interest, okay? Second part of this, once you discover your dominant focus is you need to start developing platforms to voice them. And by platforms, and offline. Online platforms are what we're going to talk about is LinkedIn, okay? So LinkedIn is an online platform that you guys can use to better market yourself, to better market your personal brand. Okay, what are some other online brands? There's Facebook, there's social media, there's Twitter, there's Instagram, there's Vine, there's Snapchat, right? There's all kinds of things. You guys think of Snapchat as only, well, I don't know what you think of it. We won't get but Snapchat, honestly, you guys see the different advertisements now through Snapchat, right? Whether it's the X Games or all these different kind of brands that people are using. Coaches can now use Snapchat to recruit players. So yesterday was letter of signing day for college football, right? Recruiters now use Snapchat to recruit players. So again, that's another social media mechanism that you guys could use to stand out through. Okay? The third part, and then really the most important for me, is you got to decide to do this every day. There's time wasters and distractions out there that will just eat at your time every single day. And so really what you got to decide to do is do this stuff every day. And so now I'm going to walk through the systems, okay? I use 3 high-value activities every day. My students hate me because I always bring these things up. 3 HVAs per day, that's 15 per week, that's 60, 120 things a year I can do towards what? My dominant focus. Okay, so I asked you guys, if you did 720 things this year towards your dominant focus, do you think you'd have some kind of success towards that dominant focus? Absolutely. Absolutely. 720 things towards your dominant focus. What do you... A dominant focus. Thank you. That wasn't so difficult. You got to have a dominant focus first, okay? And so again, if you're a junior and you're a senior, you still don't have a dominant focus for your career, man, guys, it's going to be difficult. I got to be honest with you. It's going to be very difficult. All right? So you need to start making it more upon yourself, taking it upon yourself to have that self-analysis of what do I want to do? Okay? What do I want to do? In essence, I break this down simplistically. You got to define your authentic voice, develop platforms to voice it, and then decide to live from that voice each and every day. Simple enough, right? Sounds simple enough. The execution part's the hard part. All right? I'm going to skip ahead. Coach Burke talked about this a little bit yesterday. What are you naturally talented at? What are you passionate about? Where is there need in the world for it? That's essentially your voice. And until you find that voice, again, it's hard to have that dominant focus. Correct? The easiest way I know how to find that voice is really for you guys to get involved. Again, volunteer things. Not sitting at home on the couch playing video games. Is that going to help you find your unique voice? No. It will not. Trust me, I used to do the same thing. You got to find that unique voice. Okay? Another way to look at this is, once you find that unique voice, is if we spend 35 to 50 years of our lives working, then wouldn't you rather be doing something that you enjoy doing? I would hope so. Okay? So a way to look at this is you see your work as your distribution channel for your talents and your passions. So your talents, your passions, and your need in the world fulfills that through your work. And then what does the world then redo? Rewards you with a form of love, recognition, repute, right? All those different kind of things. And so once you see your unique voice as a work distribution channel for yourself, that's when you can start using these different LinkedIn profiles and stuff like that to do what? Market yourself. Okay? So I'm going to skip ahead a little bit quickly because I want to get into the LinkedIn part. All right? And so there's all kinds of digital media marketing we can use, and we talked about those. And so today we're going to focus on the LinkedIn aspect. And this is really a sort of an intro video to LinkedIn. If it plays. There we go.
If you're watching this, chances are good you want to get a job. You want to go from student to rising star. And you want to avoid eating the same meal over and over and over again. Good news, you're in the right place. That's right, LinkedIn. It's not just for top executives. It's not just for old people with heavy briefcases. It's for you. And it's the perfect place for you to start your professional story. Say you want to get a job in New York City. You've never been there before, but that's okay because you have LinkedIn on your side. You start by creating your profile. You give it love because you know it's what recruiters are looking for day and night. It's your resume that never sleeps. It's your flashing neon sign that says, hire me, for the love of all that is good in this world, hire me. Then you start making connections. Alumni working in New York? Yes. Recruiters at top companies in New York? Yes. Your mom's best friend? Yes. You start imagining whose shoes you want to walk in. You think, this is
Can I
a
use
lot
your
of
checklist?
stuff to consider.
And
You shake yourself out of it and start
handout?
searching for jobs. Whoa, that's a lot of jobs for
Thanks.
students. Time to get down to business. You start to tailor your profile. You start applying. You feel empowered, in control, like you should be CEO. That gives you an idea. You look up all the CEOs of all the companies you want to work at. You see one of them went to your university. Then it hits you. You see a clear path from campus to career. You feel like you can see the future. You wonder if you're psychic. Should you start a hotline? No, back to plan A. You keep tailoring and connecting and applying, and before you know it, you start getting responses. First a few, then more, then an interview, and then you're hired. And that's when the real learning begins.
If only it were that easy, right? If only it were that easy. LinkedIn is a very powerful tool, okay? And I always tell somebody, the more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it, just like anything else in life, okay? So the more you put into LinkedIn, the more you're going to get out of it. So instead of spending the majority of your time, I joked earlier, Facebook stalking people, what could you instead be doing? Filling out your LinkedIn profile, connecting with people, all those different kind of things. For me, LinkedIn is a high-value activity, okay? So if I do one thing on LinkedIn a day, that's a high-value activity towards my dominant focus, my career. Okay, you see how the high-value activities work now? So you guys filling out your profile on LinkedIn could be a high-value activity for that day. You guys connecting with 3 people that you may not know could be a high-value activity that day. You guys messaging somebody in your area, hey, can we do a phone interview? I would love to hear more about what you do, what you enjoy doing. That would be a high-value activity. So you guys see how high-value activities relate to LinkedIn, okay? I promise I have more slides. There we go. So the question again for you as millennials, you always ask the so why. So why does LinkedIn matter to you? LinkedIn is the #1 professional network on social media. And so by professional, I mean you should have a headshot. All right? And so after this event, we're going to do headshots. Compliments of the university. Where are those taking place? In the Irma Bird Art Gallery? Okay. So from 1 to 3 o'clock, you guys can go there and get professional headshots done, compliments of us. And then so when you create your LinkedIn profile, we have no excuse but to get those pictures up there. Because what we find is that you're 11 times more, excuse me, I was trying to think in my mind. I was like doing 1 out of 11. You're 11 times more apt to get your profile clicked on if you have what then? A profile picture, okay? Don't have the silhouette on there. Otherwise, just don't create one. All right, I tell our students this all the time. I would rather have you just not create a LinkedIn profile than to have one that's half-assed filled out, okay? So if you're going to go on LinkedIn, what is it representing? Your personal brand, yourself. And so what do you think it says about you if you have a halfway filled out LinkedIn profile? You do things, well, we won't repeat it, okay? We do things half-aced. I've been swearing too much in here. I don't want to get in trouble by my colleagues in the back. I occasionally swear in class, okay? I'll admit it right now. That's not a good personal brand, okay? A reason LinkedIn is really important, though, is, have you guys heard of search engine optimization? SEO? Search engine optimization is, if you go to Google and you Google something right now, let's say you Googled University of Charleston, you would expect what? The University of Charleston to show up first because that's interesting to you. Hopefully not the College of Charleston, but the University of Charleston, okay? And so what that does is when you do a search, it bumps you up to the top. What LinkedIn is, and Google has algorithms that are way smarter than all of us, and what it does is LinkedIn is a trusted resource for Google. So if you guys fill out a LinkedIn profile, Google trusts that, and so one of the first things that it does, if somebody Googles your name, which employers are going to do, over 90% of employers nowadays Google background checks through social media, okay? And so the first thing that's going to pop up is what? LinkedIn. So I always tell students, if you control the language, you control the message, okay? If you control your LinkedIn profile and your best representation of yourself, then you control the message. And so essentially that's what you're trying to do, right? You're trying to build an online image that hopefully turns into a reputation that gets you hired. Okay, so LinkedIn is very trusted for that. Some quick stats about LinkedIn. Over 300 million users are on LinkedIn. 1 in every 3 business professionals have a LinkedIn profile. Over 1 billion LinkedIn endorsements. And we're going to go through what endorsements are here in a second. And it has an app, okay? So I would recommend once you fill out the LinkedIn profile, you guys have it on your apps. And so 41% of recruiters are actually on their apps nowadays looking for young professionals just like yourselves, okay? One other part, 1 in 20 profiles on LinkedIn are through recruiters. Why is this important for you guys to know? Well, if recruiters are out there and they're using LinkedIn as a heavy resource to recruit people, then obviously if you guys are trying to get employed after this, LinkedIn's a very powerful tool to do that, okay? So some of the things that students always talk about when it comes to LinkedIn, one of the first things you're going to fill out is your about me, and then you get to the experience part. And so a lot of people are always like, well, I don't have any experience, correct? The reality is it's very easy to get experience if you guys are willing to do it. There's volunteer opportunities all over the place. And so again, leverage current success no matter how small into what? Future opportunities. Leverage current success no matter how small is volunteering into future opportunities. So there's volunteer sections on there. You guys can have that. One thing that I'm proud of for our program is every semester we have special projects that help build our resumes, okay? And so that's essentially what we're asking you to do is start to fill out that experience part. Quick story about my background. In our field, we have to have a longer edition of resumes. And so as a PhD student, one of the first things they have me do is fill out my vita. And I had that same thing where I was like, man, I don't have any experience at all. And so really I use that as a motivator to get the experience. And so that's what, if you guys have resumes, it's very important you do it early in your lives because it motivates you to go out and want to do more things, correct? Hopefully. It motivates you to go out and get the experience. It motivates you to go out and network. It motivates you to go out and recommendations, okay? The other part is the network aspect, is I don't have any networks. Every one of you guys has connections, whether it's here in Charleston, professors, back home, family and friends. We all have networks, okay? So I asked, just as a starting point, I always talk about have a target 10. Have 10 advocates that you can turn to that you think are going to be good recommendations for you. And if they're not on LinkedIn, maybe explain to them what LinkedIn is and then get them on LinkedIn. What does that do then? That starts your own mini network, okay? And then you start to branch out. I have over 1,000 contacts on LinkedIn now, all right? I only say that because I started LinkedIn in 2009, I think. And so over 5 years, I now have 1,000 contacts. And it's the same thing. Again, high-value activities every day. You're reaching out to different people, making connections, okay? And it's amazing how many messages you'll get of just, oh, I know you through so-and-so, okay? In the sport industry specifically, it really is a matter of connecting with a lot of people within the industry. And every business nowadays is the same way. People hire people they want, know and trust, okay? So the bigger your networks are, the better off you are. I have up here, I have networks equal net worth. You increase your networks, you increase what? Your net worth, okay? So go out there, get engaged, and do all these different things. And again, LinkedIn is a great resource to be able to do that through. I talked about the 3 high-value activities. I want to make sure I get into actual LinkedIn now. So let's pull up my profile. So this is a profile. This is without being logged in. So if you guys Google LinkedIn, or excuse me, if you guys Google my name, one of the first links that'll come up will be my name with LinkedIn. So you click on it, okay? And up here you have your headline. I took this thing away. So here's a LinkedIn profile checklist that I only printed off 50 copies, so I'm sorry if you did not get a copy. But at the first thing it says your photo. Again, you should have a professional photo. You should have a headline. If you're a student, maybe you have the fact that you're a student seeking what? Employment and marketing and whatever your field is, okay? You should have some kind of summary. Again, this is the who you are, what you do, and why you matter. What makes you different, okay? Why should people pay attention to you? The experience part of it, we got into that already. Are you a part of any kind of organizations? So are you a part of organizations here on campus? Again, this is just another way to get you guys involved. The education part of it. Now, again, personal branding-wise, if you guys are all at the University of Charleston, that doesn't really differentiate yourself from anybody else, correct? All these other things will help you differentiate your personal brand. Skills, experience, volunteer opportunities, honors, award, courses, projects. So I'm not going to go through and read all these. What I will recommend that you do is search for, this is called a market analysis. search for 10 people in your field that are doing what you want to be doing on LinkedIn, and then study their profiles. Why would that be beneficial to you? What? Go ahead and speak loud.
So you can take what you see on their profile and put it in your own way on your profile.
Good. We call that making it your own, correct? You can see what other people are doing and then do your own little twist on it and then make it your own. Now, obviously, it has to be truthful, correct? It has to be relevant to what you're doing and all those kind of things. The other important part of that is when you do a market analysis is it gives you an idea of how people got to where they are, okay? So you can search other people and figure out, okay, well, they started out here and they worked their way here and then here. And so you can really start to apply that to your own career plan, okay? So the question for you then is, once you create the LinkedIn, and again, I don't want to go through all my stuff, but the powerful part of it is, this is on the back end. You guys see here it says 13 people have recommended Bruce. So when you guys are going to apply for jobs, what do you get? You get 3 recommendations, and you list them. How important is this? You can have 13 people that recommend you and say you do a great work. That's going to be beneficial to a future employer, correct? Another part that was interesting, so I just started here this past semester, and what I could see is after my interview is I could see people who did what? Viewed my profile. So I could see somebody from the University of Charleston viewed you. If they don't have it protected at all, it actually shows this person viewed your profile. And so from there, what can I do? I can actually reach out to them and say, hey, I saw that I saw you were on LinkedIn, I just wanted to connect, that kind of thing. Okay, I appreciate it, I had fun at the interview. I'm not opposed to doing stuff like that. Okay, you don't want to be too over like, hey, am I going to get this job or not? No. But you can, that's just another way to stay on the radar, correct? That's another way for you guys to stay top of mind. Connect with them on LinkedIn, okay? So this is what it looks like on the back end. If you guys weren't logged in, this is what it looks like once you're a user. So let's say you created an account. You log into LinkedIn. And on the front page, it sort of has a pulse. And a pulse on LinkedIn is really news. It's really articles that are relevant to you. And then it has the entire news feed. Just like on Facebook, it has a news feed, right? LinkedIn's the same way, only it has more professional stuff on there. And so oftentimes, recruiters will actually put on there, we are looking for a position or a person, a candidate for this position. Again, people are doing the work for you. Okay, so that's how LinkedIn is powerful. They post jobs for you. You go on there, you click, and you see if that's something that's relevant to you. Let me just show you who's viewed your profile. This is one of the best functions on here. So I've had 162 profile views in the last 90 days. It kind of gives you this sort of a market analysis, right? So I can come down here, and I can literally see people who have viewed me. Uh-oh, Emily. Stalker. Just joking. So that's a powerful thing, right? Again, you guys can see people out there in the real world that are actually looking you up. And then you can connect with them. And you can say, hey, I just want to reach out and say hello. Again, networks equal net worths. Just another way to connect with them. Probably the most relevant thing for you guys is the job aspect. Okay? So again, if a high percentage of recruiters are on LinkedIn, and a lot of companies are posting on LinkedIn, then you can come here and you can do searches. Okay? So I'm going to use marketing because I'm a marketing person. Marketing internships. Maybe I search for that. Okay? And so what it does is it brings up all these different things. Apparently I mistyped it. All right? And so Amazon, it has 212 people in your network. Marketing assistant intern at Force Marketing. I have 2 people in my network at this company. And this company is in New York City. Okay? But say you were interested in that position. You click on there and you say, oh, Deborah works there, or Deborah has a connection there. What can you then do on LinkedIn? You can reach out to her and just ask her, hey, do you know anybody that has ties with this marketing position? Do you guys see how powerful that is? In the business world, this is essentially taking out the prospects and taking out the suspects and turning them into prospects. For those of you guys in sales, you want to go from a suspect to a prospect. A prospect is somebody that you already have a relationship with. So you're immediately skipping over the suspect part and becoming a prospect. That's very, very powerful. Okay? let's say you want to actually search more in our area. So let's refine the search to Charleston. And you can do within 100 miles, 50 miles, whatever you want to do. Okay? And so just like that, you get companies here in Charleston, West Virginia, that have job postings and openings in the marketing field. Okay? So you guys understand how powerful this could be. One thing I wanted to note before, I didn't want to walk through everything, but I do want to say as we wrap up, so why LinkedIn part, you guys see this web address up here, and I can email the web address, or excuse me, this entire PowerPoint to Hannah, and she can distribute it. But there's actually a university.linkedin.com, and they have 4 or 5 videos that walk people through the process of creating a LinkedIn account, getting it set up, all those kind of things. Okay? So there's actually LinkedIn University to help you guys with this process. Okay? So that's why I didn't want to walk through step by step of what is a great headline. Perform a market analysis, use the online training videos, and then really, like I said, just so one thing that you guys, if you guys all here in the room start a LinkedIn profile and you know each other, what can you then do? You can connect with each other. That's a small way to start. You can connect with who? Your professors. Hopefully your professors are on LinkedIn. Okay? And for professors who are not on LinkedIn, I hear this a lot. So you're not on LinkedIn because you're not looking for a job. Okay? Well, the time to fix the roof is when the sun is shining, right? What do I mean by that? You don't want to fix the roof when it's raining, right? Let's say you lost your job somehow. Well, that's not a good thing. But the time to fix the room, the time to have all your networks of people, the time to have this program is when what? When you need it, okay? So you already have all the stuff built out. It's very important. The other part for your professors, the reason I think they should have it is we're a powerful resource for you. So if we have strong LinkedIn connections, and you guys are looking for jobs, what can we do? We can use our own networks to help you. We can give you endorsements. We can give you recommendations, okay? So utilize us as staff members and faculty, okay? One other point I wanted to mention about LinkedIn, I didn't, is the endorsement part of it. So let me exit back out. Sorry. So if we actually go to the back end, this is like basically I can come here and I can edit anything on my profile, okay? See how right up here it says your connections have endorsed you for new skills and experience, and they ask you basically, do you want to endorse them? So for right now, I'll just say no, okay? But if you come down here towards the bottom, for skills and endorsements, I have people who have endorsed me. So 43 people have endorsed me for leadership. These are all people, I didn't ask them to endorse me at all. They've done it. So again, if you guys are getting Google searched by companies and by employers, and they come here and they see, and they've been endorsed by 43 people. That's something, again, another way to build what? Your personal brand. It's another way to make you more marketable to the field. Okay? So one giveaway I'm going to give you guys is if you endorse me, this is my marketing side of things. If you endorse me for public speaking, or if you follow me and tweet something on Twitter, I'll send you an ebook version of my book, all right? So you guys will get the free ebook version if you either follow me on Twitter or give me an endorsement. You see how that's personal branding, self-marketing right there? Work smarter, not harder, okay? And so if you do that, I'll be sure to send this out to you guys, free of charge, okay? With that, I just want to open up. I want to make sure we have questions. I like Q&A. And so we have 10 minutes for Q&A. Okay, I had more slides, but as usual, I get a little bit long-winded sometimes. And so I want to make sure I open up for Q&A. What are questions you guys have about LinkedIn, about personal branding, things that you can get involved with right now? What are certain kind of questions you guys have? I need at least 3 questions before we can leave, okay? We're not going anywhere. We will stay in here all day if we have to. Ooh, that's a good question. I think you just make a shift mentally where you get to the point where you're sick and tired and you're not getting opportunities, so you got to figure out how am I going to attract versus chase opportunities. So So think of this in the dating field, okay? Is it a whole lot easier to date when you're attracting opportunities versus constantly chasing opportunities? Right? And so when are you attracting your most opportunities? When you have a positive attitude, when you have things going for you, when you look good, those kind of things, right? It's the same thing in the employer world. Is the more prepared you are, right, the more heavy lifting you do, the more attractive you become to the market. I don't really mean to make that analogy, but it works. But no, I mean, eventually you just need to make a decision is, man, I'm not getting the results I want to be getting. What do I have to do? Now, to be honest, when I said, I was showing up at 8 a.m. classes and I was a sophomore, I've always cared about my appearance, okay? And so I've always, like I said, I've always kind of gone out and dressed the part, and I've gotten involved and all those kind of things, okay? Good question, though.
Do you have your own website?
Yes. So one thing I would recommend, good question. She asked if I had a website. Jerry did. I'll give some prop there. I think websites are very important and a very powerful tool when you guys start talking about personal branding. And I recommend to students to start blogging. And so really when I talk about blogging, it's not because I want you guys, I don't want the whole world to read your blog necessarily, but what it really does is it keeps content fresh in your mind. So if you're continuing to blog about things that are relevant in your field, in your area, you're going out and you're doing what? You're doing the research, you're making it your own, you're turning it into your own language. If an employer finds out that you are constantly engaged every day in your field and you have a website that's built up for that, do you think that's a differential advantage for your personal brand over other people? Absolutely. Absolutely. We have more resources than ever before. And so the challenge is how do you first manage all those resources and figure out which ones are the most important. And the second part is you need to figure out how are you going to manage these every day and then how are you going to differentiate from other people. The thing is with young professionals, man, there's this, I don't know if this is not willing to put forth the work or if you never had people actually tell you this kind of stuff. But again, between 24 and 29 for me is I started doing these things, and it was amazing how much opportunities you start to attract versus constantly doing what? Chase. Attract versus chase. Makes life so much easier. Last question. I think everybody, the question was what inspired me to write a book. And there was multiple reasons, but I think we all, like I said, we all, correct? We all have different unique backgrounds and pasts. And so I think we all have a story or a book to tell. And like I said, when I was, this acceleration pace when I was 24 to 29, when I started working for this guy and I started going out and listening to him speak, and it really just motivated me, okay? And so the book took me about 2 years. And so I was working on a dissertation, I was a graduate teaching assistant, I was helping Michael Burt with this company, and then I also, so sacrificing short term for long term. I spent my spring break doing what? Writing a book. That's crazy, right? How many young professionals you guys know are going to spend a full week when they could be out playing in the ocean writing a book, okay? So again, you start to reprioritize what's important for you as a young professional. What's important to your lives? Okay, is it going out and doing the party scene, or is it getting serious about your careers? At a certain point, you make that shift. You really do. And hopefully you make that shift what? Earlier the better. Okay? Earlier the better. When you become not addicted to leisure and recreation activities and addicted to things that are important to your career and impact other people, a lot of people ask, well, why are you in higher education? I love being able to make impact on young people's lives, okay? When you start talking about what are you good at, what are you talented at, and then the purpose of it, the purpose for me is the impact that I can make on young people, all right? And so you guys need to figure out the why of your careers. What happens when you tell people the why versus the what is you're more emotional about it. I can tell people, yeah, there's nothing better when you get a review on your, most of us hate getting the reviews at the end of semester, but when you get one that says, last year at Texas A&M University Kingsville, after I left, I got a review and it was basically these 9 months with Dr. Lund changed my life. I've learned more in these past 9 months than I have my entire life. That's why you make an impact as an educator. And so again, for you guys, and every industry is a little bit different, is focus on the why though, okay? Well, I appreciate your time and energy. I understand that we're all busy. I understand you guys have classes, you're student athletes, and so the most valuable asset that we have is our time and energy. So I appreciate you guys coming here and listening to me today. Quick reminder, too, is Irma Bird Art Gallery. Get there. I'm trying to let you out a little bit early so you can get over there and get your headshots taken. I'm actually going to go over there myself, okay? So I'll see you guys over there. Thank you so much.